Welcome, hustlers. We're going to make a brew today which might be the world's oldest brew method. This is the Cezve, or Ibrik as it's known. Many people refer to it as Turkish coffee, and it is truly my favourite brew method. We're going to put a little edge on it. We're going to Wendell Hoff it at the end. If you're not familiar with that innovative approach to brewing, you'll sure find out. So, look, I prefer it a little above the strength of your ordinary Cezve coffee. So it's going to be, we're going to be targeting 3.5% TDS. So this is about 1/3 of the strength of an espresso. But the interesting part of this drink is that the perceived strength is quite a lot higher than the actual strength. And at 3.5, it's going to come in at 23% extraction yield, which is higher than what you'll be accustomed to targeting, except that Turkish coffee just seems to be resistant to the flavours of over-extraction, which is possibly to do with this essential first step. So check it out, I've got coffee ground on literally the finest possible grind we can on an EK43. So super, super fine. In principle, this should help make a more even grind, but we have considerably more fines in here, but we have a greatly smaller production of boulders. So that should help safeguard against this flavour of over-extraction. Now look, I pop it in here. Now this is traditional, it's cold water. That was 12 grams of coffee, and I've got 100 grams of cold water. Well, let's say room temperature, 21, 22 degrees. And this cold emulsion is a really singular aspect of Cezve coffee. It kind of protects the coffee and gives you a little time to organize yourself. Because, as you know from making cold brew, it's a very, very slow rate of diffusion that's going on right now. And whilst all that turbulence might have been a problem if the brew was hot, if it was boiling coffee, like they do in Brazil. They have a similar brew method in Brazil where they boil it up and they pass it through a sock. But here we have a little bit of the luxury of time. So now here's where things start to speed up. On this pretty high-powered induction heater, I've got it on full strength, and this is kind of traditional too. You'll see sand heaters being used in Turkey that can heat 100 mils in about 2 minutes. So here we go, it's 18 degrees in there right now, and we have liftoff. So when it gets to around a little around 90 degrees, you see a process of foam beginning to form, and then within a few seconds you can see the Cezve entirely boil over. People speculate on what might be the cause of this. So there's a few theories. One is that the carbon dioxide is coming out of the grinds, and that causes the coffee to rise up. Another theory is that the grinds in here create millions of little nucleation points for bubbles to form. Whatever the case, you can test this at home. Try getting some coffee that's 3 months old and entirely degassed and see if you still get the foam. I, for one, don't make it a habit of drinking coffee that's 3 months old, so I've never tested it. Let's find that out. Look, now it's rapidly getting into the business end of the extraction. It's just hit 65 degrees, and in less than 30 seconds, it's going to be good to go. Then I'll transfer it through this pre-rinsed paper filter. Here we are, 73 and rising. And the key part of this process for me to time will be when we get it into the filter paper. That's when the Wendell Hoff action begins. Up she comes, starting to rise, and 93, boom, straight into the V60. Now if I start a timer, so I can keep track of of how long this takes. I want to arrest this very, very slow percolation after a specific amount of time. And this is what's going to give us an incredibly nice, clean mouthfeel and increase the perceived strength of this drink. It'll be super syrupy. But the Wendelhoffing usually has the effect of getting a little choked towards the end. So if I can pull this in a controlled time frame, so I'm going to take it at exactly 60 seconds, then I can have more control over the contact time of the process. It's very consistent how long it takes to get to 94 degrees, and I can add my 60 seconds of contact time. Here we go. And we're done. Now, what we have here is a drink that's far more clarified than an ordinary Cezve. You can drink the last mouthful in this drink. It gives you the impression of drinking some sort of hybrid between espresso and filter coffee, and it sits in that beautiful 3.5% region. This gorgeous Kenyan from 5 Elephant is ideal for this brew method because it has such a nice bright fruity acidity. So I tend to want as bright as you can, very light roasts for this style of coffee. Folks, so 12 to 100, around 3 minutes contact time, 1 minute in the Wendelhoff, and the cold emulsion at the start is the trick. Signing off.